evening, Doncaster. Well, you sound in better voice than I am at the moment, but never mind. I've been to Doncaster several times. 4 years ago, I came to Doncaster, and I was invited to go to a working man's club in the constituency of one Ed Miliband. So I went into this working man's club. It was an afternoon. Channel 4 Racing was on. A few of the chaps were there having a bet. I, for once, allowed myself to have a pint. And then perhaps another one, I don't know. But what was really interesting, talking to those people in the club and the man that ran it, was that just 300 yards down the road was the constituency office for Ed Miliband. So I said to the owner of the working man's club, I said, well, I expect you see a lot of Ed Miliband in here, don't you? He said, no, he's never, ever been in here once. And I thought then, and I think now, it just goes to show that the Labour Party is now totally and utterly disconnected from its northern roots, its people and its voters. And it's that Labour Party who, as we speak, are in Westminster doing everything they can to stop Brexit from happening, doing everything they can to stop us even having a general election before the 31st of October. And this is the party that was founded, was set up to represent the thoughts, hopes and aspirations of ordinary people through the democratic process. The Labour Party now is traducing our traditions, our democracy, our nation, the way the rest of the world looks at us. The Labour Party today and its actions in the House of Commons are a complete, total disgrace. And of course, this is the same Labour Party who said, however you vote in the general election, we will respect the vote, and if we're in government, we will implement the result. It's the same Labour Party who voted en masse for Article 50 to be triggered, which said we will leave the European Union on the 29th of March with a deal. That's what they voted for. 500 MPs voted for it. Labour going through those lobbies too. It's the Labour Party who stood in the general election saying they would implement Brexit and respect the result, and that Labour Party now that wants to have a second referendum because they think that you voters here in South Yorkshire didn't know what you were voting for. So please, can you tell Jeremy Corbyn, did you know what you voted for? I think you probably did. We voted to leave, didn't we? It wasn't conditional. We didn't vote for a deal. We voted to leave. It's as simple as that. And the Labour Party now wants that second referendum. The Labour Party thinks that you are stupid. The Labour Party thinks they know better. And it's a Labour Party now completely and utterly dominated from London. It's a party that represents Islington and not Isloin. It's a party that represents Hampstead and not Huddersfield. Dalston and not Doncaster. That's the Labour Party of today. However much the Conservatives have failed since 2016, and I'm coming back to the Conservative Party, don't worry, but it is the Labour Party that have brazenly betrayed 5 million of their own voters. And here we are in South Yorkshire, where 80% of the constituencies voted by more than 60% to leave the European Union. And it's a South Yorkshire where virtually every seat has been Labour for decade after decade. They have taken your votes for granted. Now, as for the Labour Party trying to stop us having a general election on this issue, all I can say is if they really do prevent us having a general election, we will have to organise in London and have a march for democracy in protest about it. But in the end, they can't stop it. They may stop it before the 31st of October, but in the end, there is a general election coming, and it isn't very far away. It will happen. And if you look here in South Yorkshire, this Labour heartland, if you look at how astonishingly well the brand new Brexit Party, which I think is one of the best ideas I've ever had in politics. But if you look at how we did in under 6 weeks, topping the poll in seat after seat here in South Yorkshire, you know that when this general election comes, there is only one party can challenge Labour in South Yorkshire. Only one party that will stand up for the principles that the people of this area voted for when they voted to leave in the referendum. Only one party that can win in this Labour heartland against Labour, and it's not the Conservative Party, it's not the Liberal Democrats, it's not even, it's the Brexit Party! And I think we can do it. I've been in South Yorkshire, I've been in North Lincolnshire, just at random, meeting ordinary people who, looking at the shenanigans that are going on in our parliament, are truly disgusted at the way our political class are behaving. They really are. They're disgusted. So I think we can win, and I'll come back in a minute to how I think we can do it. A Remainer Parliament has done its best to stop Brexit from happening. And it's constant fear stories, isn't it? You know, I mean, John has dealt, I know, with some of that this evening. I mean, ludicrous stories, like we might run out of fuel, when actually the oil that comes into this country comes from non-EU members, comes by ship, and none of it comes into Dover. It's nonsense. They tell us we'll all be poorer. They are trying to scare us into submission. They did it before. They told us if we didn't join the euro, it'd be a disaster. And remember what the Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne, told us. He's worth the boo, I agree with that. He told us that 500,000 jobs would be lost immediately. And now, 3 years on, employment is at record levels in this country. So we're not going to listen to the negativity. We're not going to listen to the fear. We know that this is a great country, that we are a great people, and that we have, through the Commonwealth and our friendship with the United States of America, there are 2.7 billion people out there in the English-speaking countries of the world. They're our friends, they're our allies, they stand beside us in times of trouble. And Brexit, far from cutting us off, Brexit actually gives us a chance to re-engage with a bigger and more exciting world, whilst putting at the same time the priorities of British people first. That's what a British government should do. Always, always. So we had the referendum, and we got a new Prime Minister, didn't we, back in 2016? We got Theresa May. Now, I think she will go down as the worst Prime Minister in British history, and perhaps the most dishonest and duplicitous as well. Because she lined us up. She lined us up for what they call the withdrawal agreement, what they call Mrs. May's deal. And it's no such thing. It's a new European treaty, a legally binding new European treaty, which even if the backstop was going to be taken out, which of course now it won't, as the threat of no deal has receded with the vote in the House of Commons. But even if the backstop was taken out, it's the worst deal in history. It costs us 39 billion. It still leaves a foreign court ruling over us. It doesn't get us free of the customs union. And thank goodness there were a few brave people in Parliament who stood up and voted it down. Now Boris has taken over. And Boris, to be fair, has brought some optimism and some energy to the job. I mean, nobody could be as miserable as she was. Well, a very good insomnia cure, listening to one of her speeches, I suppose. But Boris, I'm afraid, is going in the wrong direction. Because Boris wrote a letter to Donald Tusk on the 19th of August in which he said, getting a withdrawal agreement is our highest priority. So Boris, whilst threatening to leave with what he calls no deal, can we stop calling it no deal? Can we call it what it is? It's a clean break Brexit. And that's what it is, a clean break Brexit. We will be, if we leave without those ties, an independent, self-governing, democratic nation. And I ask you, what price freedom? It's the right thing to do. It is remarkable that in just 20 weeks, that we have been launched as a party, that we already have 630 candidates ready to fight the general election as and when it comes this year. And you've seen the caliber, the quality, and the passion of the people that we've attracted here on this stage today. So be in no doubt, Westminster, be in no doubt, we are ready. We are ready to take them on in a general election. But if Boris sees the light, and if Boris realizes that the only way we are going to get Brexit, because we're not going to get a decent deal, we're not going to amend this withdrawal agreement, we haven't got time in 57 days to negotiate a simple trade deal, which frankly is all we wanted from the start. If Boris realizes that the only way to deliver this is to go for a clean break Brexit, then we would, forgetting whether we come from a Labour background or a Conservative background, because this doesn't matter. Getting Brexit is the defining issue of our age. It really is. And I would make this offer to Boris Johnson. If you're threatened by the rise of the Liberal Democrats in the southwest of England, if you're going for a clean break Brexit, we would not stand candidates against you in the southwest of England. We would put our shoulder to the wheel and help you beat the Remainer Liberal Democrats. But there is a quid pro quo, and that is that here in South Yorkshire, where the Conservatives have never won in most of these seats and will never win in most of these seats, you step aside so that we can campaign for a clean break Brexit. They say that it's always darkest before dawn. And certainly, if you look at the BBC every day, it's pretty depressing. But actually, there's a way out of this. But it needs Johnson to recognise that clean break is the only way. It needs Johnson to recognise that we in the Brexit Party would work with anybody. We'd work with the Labour Party if they were the ones saying the right thing, but they're not. They're saying the wrong thing. We, in a general election this year, would be prepared to put country before party. We are prepared to do the right thing. And if it happens, and I sense it might be edging a bit nearer, because now that Boris has just sacked 21 of his own team, and by the way, well done him for having the guts to do it. My word. Politics is changing. An audience in Doncaster clapped Boris Johnson. It's remarkable. But we even had, in the European elections, I went to a former miners' club in Featherstone, and and Anne Widdecombe got a standing ovation. And that's because it doesn't matter anymore. Labour and Conservative are old hat. We are now Leavers or Remainers. They are the divisions in British politics. I want to thank those of you that had the faith and confidence to get behind, to help, and to vote for a brand new party. You did it in those May European elections. It's something that has never happened in the history of British politics. And you did it not because you believed in us. You did it because you believed in yourselves. You did it because you believe in our great nation. You did it because you want us to be a free, independent democracy. And we won! And I think whatever tricks they play in Westminster, whatever dishonesty we see, actually what I've seen is the opinion polls are clear. If you give people a choice for a clean break Brexit, or what the Labour Party want, which is to extend Article 50 and have a second referendum, there is a massive, massive majority for a clean break Brexit. If we do that deal, if we can do that deal with Johnson, if we leave the Brexit Party free to stand in the traditional Labour heartlands like this, we will win a crushing victory at the general election. We will get Brexit and we will get our country back. How about that?
We will make America great again.